They called her a prostitute. They spat her name like an insult. They warned men to stay away from her bed. But what terrified them was not her body. It was her mind, because behind the greatest empire of ancient Greece, there stood a woman. History tried to erase. This is not the story of a whore. This is the story of power, and the woman men were too afraid to remember. Her name was Aspasia. In ancient Athens, freedom was praised, democracy was worshipped, and reason was treated like a god, but only for men. Women were expected to stay silent, to remain indoors, to be invisible. A respectable woman did not speak in public, did not debate politics, did not sit among philosophers, and above all, did not influence power. So when a woman arrived who broke every one of these rules, Athens panicked. Aspasia came from Miletus, a city known for thinkers, poets, and radical ideas. She was foreign, and Athenian law forbade her from becoming a legal wife to a citizen. That single fact would later be weaponized against her. In Athens, a woman without a legal husband was suspicious by default. A woman who spoke freely was dangerous, and a woman who influenced leaders was unforgivable. Aspasia did not rise quietly. She entered the life of Pericles, the most powerful man in Athens, the architect of democracy, the leader of the Golden Age. He listened to her, respected her, and sought her counsel. Athens could tolerate a woman's beauty. It could tolerate her silence, but it could not tolerate her influence. Men needed an explanation for why their leader listened to a woman, and they chose the oldest one in history. She must be selling her body. In ancient Greece, there was a word for women who spoke freely and associated with powerful men, hetaira. Officially, it meant high-class companion. Unofficially, it was social execution. Once labeled, everything she said could be dismissed. Every idea could be mocked. Every influence framed as seduction. Aspasia was no longer a thinker, no longer a strategist. She was just a prostitute. Aspasia hosted gatherings in her home, not parties, not orgies, debates. Philosophers, politicians, and strategists gathered. Even Socrates was said to have attended. Men who would later shape Western civilization sat and listened to a woman. This was intolerable. When Athens went to war, they needed a scapegoat. So they chose Aspasia. She was accused of manipulating Pericles, of pushing him toward conflict, of controlling the fate of the city from behind closed doors. There was no evidence, no trial, just fear. Because it was easier to believe a woman caused war than to accept men chose it. Aspasia was accused of impiety, a crime punishable by death. Her crime was speaking too freely, challenging tradition existing outside control. Pericles himself reportedly defended her, begged for her life. The most powerful man in Athens on his knees for a woman history calls a prostitute. Aspasia survived the trial, but she did not survive history. Her enemies wrote the records, comedians mocked her, historians repeated the insults. Her ideas were stripped away, her intellect erased, and what remained was a label: prostitute. It was never her sexuality. It was never her beauty. It was the idea that a woman could think, advise, influence. Aspasia represented something Athens could not control. A woman whose power did not come from her body, but from her mind. Modern history books still echo the ancient insult. They repeat it casually, carelessly. Aspasia becomes a footnote, a scandal. Rarely a philosopher, never a political force, and yet without her the golden age of Athens feels incomplete. History has always done this. Powerful women are labeled immoral seductresses, whores, because it is easier than admitting they shaped events. Aspasia was not the last. She was simply one of the earliest. They tried to shame her into silence. They failed. They tried to reduce her to her body. They failed. Because even stripped of credit, her influence echoes through the foundations of Western thought. Aspasia did not sell her body. She sold ideas, and men have always feared women who do that. They called her a prostitute, but what she truly was power without permission,